A federal judge has blocked a key Biden administration policy imposing harsh asylum restrictions on migrants who illegally cross the border.
Joining us on the KOGO News Live line, immigration attorney Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. Good morning, Kate.
Hi, good morning.
So tell us about this ruling.
Sure. So Biden carried forward a couple of Trump-era asylum policies in an announcement that he made earlier this year, sort of asylum overhaul in advance of Title 42 being lifted. And Title 42 was the COVID border closure that was in place for 3 years. So Biden said, okay, the program we're going to put in place is we're going to say if an asylum seeker crosses the border without having first, registered in the CBP1 app, we're going to essentially deport them, deem them ineligible for asylum, and also require that they have applied for asylum through all the other countries that they travel. So that's the bad news for asylum seekers. Now, the good news for asylum seekers is that we're announcing a parole program for people from 4 specific countries: Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. And those people can apply for parole to come to the United States, even if they don't have a relative, for example, and we'll grant up to 30,000 entries per month. So it was sort of like pitched as this, way that we're going to handle the border. The problem is that the president doesn't have the authority to change asylum laws. We've had asylum laws in place for over 40 years. They were passed by Congress, and they specifically state that anyone who comes to the border or is inside the United States has the right to seek asylum. And what we had for many years, for decades, was a systematic, orderly method for screening people at the border, and that was dismantled under the Trump organization, under the Trump presidency. Biden is sort of like not getting us back to where we were, but doing this like piecemeal program. So what happened was he was sued. Biden was sued for his policies, and a federal judge enjoined the policy or blocked the policy, saying President Biden, you don't have the authority to change asylum laws. That's Congress's job. And the judge also gave the Biden administration a couple of weeks to sort of prepare or appeal the injunction to figure out how they're going to handle this.
All right. So, what happens next? Because eventually Congress is going to have to take this up and do something, correct?
I mean, one would hope that Congress would finally tackle the immigration question, but they haven't done it for, 40 years plus. So, and especially with an election year coming, I am not optimistic that we're going to see an immigration overhaul coming through anytime soon. So what happens next is probably we'll see this continue to play out in court. If the injunction goes into place, then the Biden administration needs to quickly get to a point where they will screen any asylum seeker who presents at the bridge, which, like I said, we had that in place for many years, and it was a functioning system. We had a way that anyone from any part of the globe could just arrive at the southern border, walk across the bridge, talk to the Border Patrol officer and say, I'm afraid of returning to my country. And they would be detained and put through what's called a credible fear interview, right, to see if they would qualify for asylum. And if they didn't, they would be deported. And there were ebbs and flows with migration based on, things happening around the world. But we were, for the most part, able to weather all of that. And what happened was when Trump came into office through a series of policies, finally with Title 42, he was effective in completely shutting down access to asylum. And that created all of the problems that we're seeing today, which is migrants, many of whom qualify for asylum, people from Venezuela fleeing political persecution, for example, not having access to our asylum laws. And these are desperate people who are trying to get themselves to safety, and they will take desperate actions like crossing the river. So if we could just if Biden could just get back to an orderly method for screening asylum seekers and giving people access to the program, it would really calm down a lot of the chaos that we're seeing. In my opinion, it's a lot of these restrictive measures that create the problems.
All right. Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, we're out of time. Immigration attorney. Thanks for your time, Kate.